New introduction here. I want to get everybody's attention for what I feel will be a lucrative opportunity. It's the first ever NYSE marijuana IPO. We're making history here, and I feel this is just the first stepping stone in what is going to be the start of many IPOs on both the NASDAQ and the NYSE. I feel we're going to have a marijuana sector and marijuana ETFs in the future, and this is just step number one. If you are familiar with the industry, that's all I have to say. I know you're interested already. If this is new to you, this is going to be, in my opinion, the greatest financial opportunity in our lifetimes. This has never happened before. We have an established tens of billions dollar industry that the floodgates are going to open. It's becoming more and more legitimate legally, and this is just step number one. So Innovative Industrial Properties is the company. The ticker is IIPR. It is a real estate REIT that invests in medical marijuana facilities. And for this IPO, we have a new website, www.mjipo.com. I put together an hour of research video going through the filings, researching the company and the executives, and establishing a game plan, looking at some other IPOs and how they have traded. We're going to have a chat room with live Q&A during that day, Tuesday, November 22nd. And we'll also have the live webcam where I'll be showing our charts, going over, pointing out key support and resistance levels, looking at the volume that's coming in. I'm really looking forward to this opportunity. I hope you will join us. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get into the charts. Hey everyone, checking back in with the biotech sector. We'll look at XBI, LABU, LABD, then we'll check the biotech, NASDAQ, IBB, and we'll wrap it up with GWPH, which is our favorite NASDAQ biotech stock. So a huge week for the biotechs, and the previous 5 weeks, in my opinion, was the market pricing in a Clinton victory. The Democrats had the biotech sector in their crosshairs, and that was pretty much a very bearish scenario. But the absolute best case scenario for the biotech sector happened. Look at this breakout on the surprise Trump victory. This is the best thing that the biotechs could have been looking for, and in my opinion, from here, we're going to begin forming higher lows and higher highs, continue the bullish uptrend that we saw before the top was hit at the end of September, and the biotech sectors are going to be a well-performing bullish sector as long as the overall market holds up here. So XBI, we see the pullback, we see the results to the election. We had an oversold bounce right before the election. Look at that gap up. Bearish reversal candlestick Thursday was not confirmed. We're still holding the upper Bollinger Band in breakout mode. You can see the volume is dropping off as we settle down a little bit after that initial reaction. On Monday, we need to update this upper Bollinger Band and see if it's going to continue pushing the price higher. The inside candlestick on Friday, we can use that range to determine whether Monday will continue to be bullish. A break of the high 66.45, and we are looking back at 66.91, the highest price we've seen on this move. So if we get a bullish break over the high of Friday on Monday, odds are that this move is going to continue and see some further short-term higher highs. If we break the low and lose the upper Bollinger Band support, we will look to consolidate, establish a base in the low $60 range, and then look to continue back to test this 66.91 high of this bounce. So Monday's pretty essential for the bulls, and they certainly are very pleased with the way that Friday went, especially with the overall market consolidating a bit. I was looking for the biotech sector to consolidate a bit more than this, and it did not, so that certainly favors the bulls. So look at this bearish break. We had 2016, the uptrend started, higher lows and higher highs, very clear all the way until the end of September, and then that trend changed, and we started to see some pretty significant bear volume. We broke the higher low pattern. Look at this 200-week moving average support. We have bounced off of it almost the last 10 times we have tested it. Every time we have bounced off of this level, the past 4 times, we saw a month of green, 3 weeks of green, essentially 5 of 6 weeks green, and now we have a huge bull reaction. Look at the volume. That is all you need to see. That proves the bulls are serious. This is the highest volume we've seen in over 3 months. Very clearly, it's entirely for the bulls, and just like that, 1 week, we have clinging to the last moving average support on the weekly, and just like that, all moving averages are now support on the weekly. We're looking up at 69.21, the high we've seen on this move, and I do expect that level to break and for us to be in the $70 range in the coming weeks, potentially, and if not, certainly the coming months. LABU responding very well, same exact setup as XBI. LABU really tracks XBI very closely, so we have the same inside candlestick, the same upper Bollinger Band important support. and the same bounce on the weekly time frame. The 200-week moving average isn't there, but we did turn key levels back into support. We're looking back at the high 55.88. That is the level that needs to break for the higher high pattern to resume. Weekly bullish MACD cross ready to flip back, and the bulls are looking really strong. LABD falling off a cliff. There was a really nice uptrend for 5 weeks when it looked like Clinton was going to win, and then we have absolutely completely dumped, and we're not even oversold yet. The lower Bollinger Band is driving the price down, pretty much the exact opposite scenario as LABU, as they are inverse. Inside candlestick, lower Bollinger Band resistance, and we could still drop a couple days before we're oversold on the daily time frame. The weekly just shows since the inception, LABD has been an overall bear, not only due to time decay, but because the overall stock market is in a long-term uptrend. So LABD has been forming lower highs, lower lows, and this was just another lower high leading up into the election and an all-out dump hitting all-time lows. So LABD is going to have a reverse split and continue doing this pattern all over again. We see this with ETFs that have time decay like UVXY and other leveraged ETFs that inevitably are designed to go to zero. They just reverse split and do it all over again. IBB, the NASDAQ biotechs, they're notably weaker than the S&P 500 biotechs, but they are still seeing the similar, very bullish reaction to the election results. So look at Thursday, same bearish reversal kind of doji, and then Friday we broke to lower highs and lower lows, barely clung on to the upper Bollinger Band support. Compare that to XBI and the S&P 500. Obviously, it's night and day in terms of which was more bullish on Friday and which has been more bullish longer term. So for LAB or IBB, we need to hold this upper Bollinger Band. That's going to be a bit more tough as we close right at that level. And 294.36 is the level to break to continue to higher high pattern. Weekly time frame shows that divergence in terms of bullish and bearish action. We've lost the 200-week support a couple times, and even here back in April and May, we formed lower highs and lower lows where XBI was forming higher lows and higher highs. So April to June is where it was very clear that the S&P 500 biotech bulls were performing much better than the NASDAQ, but we do have the same high volume bull turnaround, and we're looking up at 301.71 as the recent high that we've seen since this bounce started back in February. So GWPH belongs in IBB. It's a NASDAQ biotech. It is in the marijuana sector. If you saw the introduction to this video, certainly a lot going on in the marijuana sector, and I feel there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of money to be made here. So we've been consolidating for those 5 weeks, and we were just coming off of an all-time high for GWPH. It's extremely bullish fundamentally as a company, and the sector is bullish in terms of the marijuana sector and the laws and the political landscape changing. So we consolidated, and then we took off, and the reaction with Trump winning was certainly bullish for the biotech sector, along with the votes for the recreational and medical marijuana states, only helped GWPH to the upside. Bearish reversal doji Thursday was not confirmed on Friday. Inside candlestick Friday, same as with those most other biotechs, not the NASDAQ IBB, however. But we're watching the same thing. A break of 131.86. We're looking up at 134.51. All-time high is right up here at 137.88. We break that level, and we're going up into the 140s in blue sky breakout. So the upper Bollinger Band is containing the price. We do see volume tapering off, and that's going to continue to stifle the price unless we see a high volume breakout. So if we consolidate, we'll look to backtest some of these moving average supports and then begin working on higher lows and higher highs. And I do anticipate a new all-time high in GWPH in the short-term future over the next month or so. So on the weekly time frame, look how bullish this consolidation was. After a 5-week breakout to all-time highs, we consolidated. Volume was steady and fairly insignificant for the bears. Pulled back, bounced right off the 10-week moving average support, formed a bullish reversal hammer, confirmed it in a huge way on big bull volume this past week, and we're looking right back up at those all-time highs. This was a bit of a drawn-out bull flag of parallel support and resistance lines after a breakout, and it's a continuation pattern, so I do expect new all-time highs in the fairly near-term future, but the daily chart with that upper Bollinger Band could see some very short-term consolidation before that occurs. So I appreciate you watching. Lots to be watching in this biotech sector. Banking and biotech were the big winners with the Trump presidency, and we'll see how it plays out from here. I appreciate you watching. Have a great rest of your weekend.